In this problem, we have a tall monument that's 225 feet tall, located in the distance, and then from a window in a building in the distance, a person determines that the angle of elevation to the top of the monument is 19 degrees and that the angle of depression to the bottom of the tower is 4 degrees. How far is the person from the monument? I think that right there is supposed to say monument. All right, anyways, let's draw a diagram. So down here we have the ground level, and we have a pretty tall monument at 225 feet tall. And in the distance, we have a building. And from a window in that building, here's my window. Okay, a person's looking out. If they look straight across, we'll say that's parallel to the ground. Now, from there, the angle of elevation to the top of the monument is 19 degrees. So if he looks up, that angle right there is 19 degrees. And the angle of depression to the bottom of the monument is 4 degrees. Okay, so my diagram is not to scale, but that is okay. The question is, how far is the person from the monument? That's what is this distance? So let's call that x. Now, we're going to use trigonometry in order to solve this. So we're going to relate this angle on this right triangle right here. We have two right triangles, an upper right triangle and a lower right triangle. So in this upper right triangle, we'll relate the angle 19 degrees to its adjacent side x, and also its opposite side. We're not interested in the hypotenuse. We don't know it, nor do we want it. So the trig ratio that relates an opposite to an adjacent side from an angle is tangent. Now, in order to use this opposite side, we need to give that length right there a name. Now, we know the full length of the tower is 225, but we have to work with this specific distance separately. So I want to call that y. And if that distance is y and the full distance from the top of the monument to the ground is 225, then this distance would be 225 minus y. So that's the opposite side on the lower right triangle. So setting up a trig ratio for the upper right triangle over here, we can say that tangent of 19 degrees is equal to the opposite side y over the adjacent side x. And down here, let's write this trig ratio, let's just write it right here, using the lower right triangle. We have tangent of 4 degrees equals its opposite side over adjacent side. The opposite side is 225 minus y over its adjacent side, which is x. And the goal is to solve for x, right? We want to find how far is the person from the monument. And I'm assuming that that means direct distance. We're not counting how high they are up in the building. Okay, so we want to solve that for x. All right, let's take this top equation and solve that one, or multiply both sides by x on this one to get x times tangent of 19 degrees is equal to y. That gets rid of the ratio there, and ultimately we're going to solve for x. Let's see. In fact, what we could do is leave that solved for y right there, and we could also solve this one for y and then set them equal, and then we'd have an equation in which we could solve for x. So let's go ahead and solve the second equation for y. And this is not the only way to solve this system of equations that we have here, but this is one way to do it. Multiplying both sides by x on this one gives us x times tangent of 4 degrees is equal to 225 minus y. And I would like to solve that for y. So I'm going to subtract 225 from both sides. And then let's multiply both sides by -1, so it becomes positive, positive, and negative. Now, these two y's I'm going to set equal right here. So from this top equation right here, we have x times tangent of 19 degrees is equal to this bottom equation, negative x times tangent of 4 degrees plus 225. Now ultimately we're going to have to approximate tangent of 19 degrees and tangent of 4 degrees on a calculator, but I'm going to do that at the end of the problem. So first let's get all the terms with an x on one side. So I'm going to add this x tangent of 4 degrees to both sides to get x times tangent of 19 degrees plus x times tangent of 4 degrees is equal to 225. And in order to get x by itself, I'm going to factor that out. I'm a little crunched on space, so let's come down here. Let's factor the x out from those two terms on the left. So we have x times tangent of 19 degrees plus tangent of 4 degrees is equal to 225. And then we can divide both sides by this summation with the tangents to solve for x. So x is equal to 225 divided by the sum of tangent of 19 degrees and tangent of 4 degrees. And we would simply need to approximate that value on a calculator to get the final answer.